We talk about the doctors, the patients, the breakthroughs. But then think about listeners. What about the systems that are running quietly in the background? The scheduling tools, the data flows, the administrative layers that either support care or silently suffocate it. Because here's what I have started to believe, listeners. When the operational side of healthcare is chaotic, the people inside it. I mean, you can look at this from a lens of maybe a business perspective, just for simplification. But then still, especially in an industry like healthcare, the providers, the caregivers, the staff, when that operational side is chaotic, they carry that chaos in their bodies. They burn out, they disconnect, and patients feel it too. So, today we are going to talk about something that doesn't often make it onto the wellness podcasts, but then it absolutely belongs there. What happens when we simplify the systems that hold care together? So, welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life listeners, where we believe that well being isn't just personal, it is structural. It lives in our workplaces, our systems, and the environments where care is meant to happen. I'm Sana, your host, and today, listeners, I'm joined by Mikael Petersson, CEO and co founder of eClouds and eClouds Health, a healthcare technology company building Salesforce native solutions that streamline operations for healthcare providers. Well, Michael's work sits at this very interesting intersection of technology, healthcare, and also the human experience. And today we are going to explore how this operational side of healthcare and care shapes the mental and emotional well being of everyone inside the system. So, Michael, welcome to the show, and it's really an honor having you here with us.
Oh, thank you for letting me join.
Okay, Michael, let's begin with first the status quo and majorly around this assumption, that healthcare technology, especially on the operational side, it's really more like a business or an efficiency problem. But then, with your experience in there, I mean, you have come in asking us also to think about it differently. So what do you think, like, what do most of us are getting wrong when we think about the operational side?
So I I think that there's two different aspects to talk about. One is the patient experience, which
Mm-hmm.
is can be maddening, complex, and frustrating. And I think a major reason for that is that medical providers in the US are working out of six,
Yeah.
seven, eight, nine different systems. They send a text message from one system telling you to come in on a certain time as you have booked it.
Yeah.
But the system is not smart enough to let you ask a week in advance for a reschedule. And when you call, they don't recognize your number and go like, "Hello, Mr. Peterson." With any modern system, they, they should answer, "Hello, Mr. Peterson. Are you calling about your appointment or your appointment next week?" So they
Mm-hmm.
see it. So everything is in many different buckets. And the same applies to you come to one doctor. I had an experience personally 2 weeks ago, and I have the best, really good, not I'm saying the best, but great health insurance. But I went to one doctor for something, and I just assumed that since I was recommended by my primary doctor,
Mm-hmm.
that he could see my history and everything. And he goes like, "No, we're not in the same system. I'm sorry, we had this EMR and they have that EMR, and we can't see anything." So it's much beyond my or anybody on the call's pay grade, but it's crazy that we can't swipe credit card type when we come to a doctor, put in a code, and then they can see everything on one screen that that regardless which doctor we went to, right? So they can
Mm-hmm.
see all the prescriptions, all the tests and everything. That is something that must change. But there are very powerful forces against that, which is story for a different day. But
Mhm.
I do think things are getting better. So from a patient view, some systems now have, and that's my company, what I represent. I'm not here to sell, but
Mm.
what I do is provide medical providers with one system. So if I give you an example that you are referred to it, you get a text message with a short form. You take a
Mhm.
picture of your driver license and your insurance card. And then a few minutes later, you get a text message back that your insurance was confirmed, you're all good. And then it sends you a message back saying, giving you examples when, if you want to come in next week or the week after or whenever, and you can just
Mhm.
click on it and select a time. Once you've done that, you get a link where you can pay the copay with a credit card that you have in the phone. Because, I mean, you have credit, around 80% of people in the US now have Apple Pay or Samsung Pay, right?
Yeah.
So they can quickly pay. And once you've done that, you get a list of the forms to fill out that are pre-filled, consent to treatment and whatever. So you
Mhm.
can spend only a few minutes updating your records literally on the phone. And then when you come into the office, everything is like, yep, we have you. Everything is there and ready. And so it's a very smooth experience also when you want to change it. So I do think that's a good thing. I think many patients will see over the next year or two tremendously better patient experience. I mean, some of the providers we worked even call it customers now, which is a change, right? Because
Yeah.
many traditional doctors, they still take it for granted that you come in for a 3 o'clock appointment and you sit there till 4 o'clock until somebody sees you, right?
Exactly.
And that would never happen anywhere else. It's only in a medical that would be accepted. If I have a 3 o'clock appointment with my accountant, he's going to come out and greet me at 3 o'clock. Any professional. If you have a yoga $30 session, they
Mhm.
will come on time, right? So I think technology is going to make it much, much better in the next few years and
Mhm.
hopefully more efficient. And the same with billing.
Yeah.
I'm sure yeah.
Exactly.
So do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because it's
Absolutely.
like, because I need many listeners are getting these statements from United Healthcare or whichever provider they have, and they are unlegible unless you have a PhD in ability. Yeah, they are. They are like listing CPT codes, allowed amount, charged amount, and then they list the balance, and you're not sure if you're supposed to pay this or you're not.
Mm.
And sometimes you get a bill from somebody who was all of a sudden out of network, and you have no idea where that's coming from, and that can be for $200 or $1,200, and you had no idea that you would have to pay extra.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I do think that healthcare is going to have to shape up literally, and over the next few years, if you as a patient go in for a treatment, doesn't matter what it is, you should know in advance what the cost of that is. And if that is $550 above or self pay, a combination of the 20% you have to pay yourself and deductible and copay, that should be spelled out in advance. So you can know that, okay, this is going to cost me this much. But when you do an operation or any kind of medical, I don't think do you ever, it's a question, do you ever know in advance what that's going to cost? I don't think they do, right?
I don't think. I just kind of, it's more like it comes from the point of anxiety. Yeah. Healthcare. I mean, even in India also, it's honestly, it becomes really, really complicated. It's kind of, this innate fear. Because honestly, and that's why, it's more like this mystery and complexity around insurance, medicines, billing, doctor appointments. In fact, even understanding the language behind selecting which insurance to go ahead with. So I think the industry itself has been kind of a very complicated, and maybe I'm speaking from a patient perspective, but if I also, because a few of my, people whom I know, I've seen them working in patient care, the amount of to and fro. I should be straightforwardly saying it's the worst part is there, that it all in the end completely gets restricted focused to just the person who is handling the file or the record for that patient, and they have to connect with the doctor, they have to connect with the hospital, they have to connect with the insurance and everything. I mean, it's mostly treated as this back office concern.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? I want to introduce you to the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, a powerful resource to transform your life today. With expert interviews, practical tips, and inspiring stories, this podcast is your roadmap to lasting wellness. Here's what a listener has to say.
I used to struggle with my health, but this podcast changed everything. It's like having a personal trainer, nutritionist, and life coach totally for free.
With over 2,000 five-star reviews, we're a podcast you can trust. The Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, absolutely. So I think what we are working on here at eClouds Health is really trying to simplify it for both the doctor and the the patient, making it as seamless as possible experience. And there's a lot of work to be done because any medical provider, they have historically been using something called best in class, meaning that they have one solution for text messaging. Then they have another solution, a phone system that is disconnected, right? And then they have an EMR system, which is the medical aspect. And then they have a billing system. And none of these systems, they are not integrated. So many times when you come to a doctor, you have to repeat things. And it's like, I mean, just the thing when you call, have you called your doctor's office recently? I mean, I think most listeners have called their doctor's office, right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that they don't have a modern phone system that recognizes your name, I think it's crazy because my phone number hasn't changed for 15 years and most people have the same cell phone number now for many years, right? So when you call, it should recognize it and bring up your patient card immediately. So the poor front office person at the medical provider immediately see, oh, Mr. Peterson, I see that is, I mean, they immediately see everything on one screen that pertains to me. So I think that alone would be really a big help because that would make it seamless to call. And another thing we're working on that we're actually seeing a lot of interest in is that you can go online and do self-scheduling, meaning that you can schedule your next appointment yourself. And there is, from what doctors told me, 30-40% of the people are very interested in that. Not only younger, but more like tech savvy or people on the go. And they go like, they don't need to talk to somebody. If they can just go online, put in their whatever personal date of birth, name, and then they get a text message, a login verification of some kind, then they can see the available times for the doctors that they have a reason to see for the next whatever 4 weeks. Because that's a typical. So I think that would be really nice as well to have that and scale, so you can make healthcare more accessible.
Yeah, of course. That is, I think, for me, and I'm very sure listeners will also agree that accessibility, it's such a key part. And also, Michael, in healthcare, I mean, I believe you'll agree with me. Like, we see this pattern. I mean, something gets simplified, there is relief, and then, slowly the complexity creeps back in. Or maybe, there could be probably resistance. A lot of organizations, the systems they have been using, it feel like, load bearing walls, like scary to touch. How do organizations, how can they hold on to the progress they have made? Like, what do you say to teams who are actually tired of trying again?
You mean teams inside the medical provider? Or do you mean
uh, who are trying to, make it, yeah, make it both accessible, like these kind of healthcare solutions that you're bringing to the table
yeah,
outside.
I think it takes a very forward looking leadership in there, and doctors are enormously well educated and smart, 10
Mhm.
times smarter than I ever will be. Look at what they went through to get their degree. But
Mhm.
very few doctors are technical. They are not, they're the opposite to a computer developer. And I have a feeling many of them have an adverse relationship with a computer and systems because they became expert in something else, in biochemistry and things that are beyond my mental capacity. It's not
Mhm.
a criticism. And therefore, they hesitate in making the necessary financial and organizational commitments and say, we need to find solutions. Like we talked about phone systems and text messaging, and there's like probably 10, 15 different things there that they need to do, payments, make it easy. So they hesitate. So as a result, their team is not gonna, they can't do anything. So if you don't have the C-level leadership, even in a small one doctor practice that
Mhm.
wants to achieve this, shall we say, seamless customer patient experience,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen. So I think there's a lot of people that work for medical providers that are very frustrated. They work on, they can see on the screen that they have an old computer system that is very arcane, and then they need to copy and paste the phone number to text to send a text message, and
Yeah.
the systems are not connected. And then when the phone rings, it's an old-fashioned phone as it was 30 years ago. There is no connection between it. They have no record of the phone call took place and that it was a quick follow-up action. Because in modern, with AI now, with Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT just exploding this year, right? This year is the way. It's really, when you live in this very small area of where you are on the front end of technology, you take it for granted that the phone call is AI recorded. And when you hang up, if you're the front end person that has an office, a team member, as you said, right?
Mhm.
There is a summary of the call saying, and there's a summary of actions, and you can just approve that in 20 seconds, just read it and go like, and now there is a task assigned to the doctor, there's a
Yeah.
task assigned to a scheduler, and maybe to somebody to send an updated prescription to CVS or Walgreens or
Mhm.
whatever the customer asked for. They don't need to go like scream in the office. Hey Steve, can you update? Come here. I need you to send us prescription. I mean, the AI tools that we have are fantastic now. They just need to learn to deploy them. Does that make sense? Or
Absolutely. Honestly. Very, very honestly.
so
And
I think in summary, that's the big thing for my subject. The tool and the technology is there to make
Mhm.
it absolutely a great consumer experience, but it is not, yeah, it's not really. happening yet more than in a few places. So that's
And
what
do
we hope will happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we wrap up, do you believe maybe the slow growth is it because of the complexity of the entire scenario, or maybe it's because of the resistance in there? I mean, just kind of maybe in your own experience, what you have observed.
I think it is fear of the unknown. Because if
Right.
you are not, if you are doctor, right?
Mhm.
You you don't know what the modern systems can do, right?
Right.
And so I think it's fear of the unknown. I think that's why small, medium-sized providers do not invest in technology as much as they should, in my opinion.
But I think AI is now becoming very much instrumental in simplifying, and also at the same time it doesn't have to be this premium or very flashy looking tool or system. I mean, somebody who I think you know who is, as a from a leader perspective, I'm saying that they can recalibrate, because they're trying to build into their system. I think it all starts with someone being willing to actually look at what's actually happening at the ground level, not just what looks good on paper, or what looks like a great looking tool but actually doesn't serve any purpose for both the providers and the patients.
I think that's correct, yes. So hopefully if we have a conversation in a year again, we go like, oh my God, how much has happened? It's unbelievable that so many of these so many of these are now like doing all these modern things, right?
Hmm.
So stay tuned, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's right. Stay tuned. And of course, still, Michael, listeners, if they would like to learn more about your work, whether they are in healthcare or in leadership, or maybe, they are just curious for, about how systems and well-being, they are intersecting, where they can find you and, learn more about what eClouds Health is building.
So the easiest is to just go on LinkedIn and type in Michael Peterson, Mikael, Swedish, and then Peterson with two S's, or just email me under Michael, Mikael, at eClouds, eclouds.co. So, and I will respond to every message. And I'll be happy to talk to anybody that just want to brainstorm about the possible. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be about selling.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yes, so listeners, feel free to reach out to Michael. And I think what we can definitely take away from this today's conversation is the beginning, of the realization that health of a system and health of the people inside it, they're never really separate things. And Michael, thank you so much, first of all. Really appreciate for what you are doing, especially for such a crucial and also at the same time, complicated as well. I think it touches every one of our lives, the work that you're doing. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Hopefully we'll connect again soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. If today's episode connected with you, share it with someone who also needs to hear it. And this is your host, Sana. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Thank you.